Good morning, Leadworks engineers. Today we are back with another exciting episode of Weekend Workshop, where we discuss the ongoing development of Leadworks 5. It's in early access right now. It's available on Steam and on our website, leadworks.com. And we're approaching the final release now. So let's see. So recently, the website was refreshed. AMD released driver 25.5.1, which fixes the incompatibility issue we had with those cards. So thank you very much, AMD. We have several new high-quality free assets available in the download system. Last week, I solved 8 bugs. We only have 12 remaining in the system. We have something like 868 total, so that's like a 98.6% solution rate. And I also wrote the script, the video script for the Leadworks 5 promotional video, which is that's the first step I usually take when I'm making a video, is I write the script first and then I figure out what the visuals are going to go with the dialogue. And then I also started a little bit of the tutorials that I'm planning for the final product. So here's what's coming up. May 27th or 26th, Ultra Engine 0.9.9 will go on to the stable branch. That might be a good point for a lot of people to get off the beta, because I'm going to start messing things up again. In order to make changes. Before then, I'm going to avoid making any major changes. Probably around June 2nd, I'm going to put up a new Steam page for Leadworks 5. The reason for doing this is when I released, first of all, Ultra Engine is being rebranded as Leadworks 5 simply because the name Leadworks is more unique and it has more recognition going back a lot longer. When I initially released the early access version of Ultra Engine, I just had the page up for like 2 days, a day or two, before I went full release, so it didn't get very many wish list ads in that time, and as a result, it's permanent. That app ID is basically permanently shadow banned on Steam. Your number of wish lists are a major factor in what your ranking is on Steam, and so that has resulted in the Leadworks 4 app is actually being recommended over the Ultra Engine app, even though the Ultra Engine app sells better. So we need to fix that. My way of fixing that is to put a new Steam page up and just see what the results of that are. Hopefully that will result in more wish list ads than the Leadworks 4 page has, and it will definitely be more than the Ultra Engine page does, which was only up for a day or two. And then after that Ultra Engine goes on to 099, then I will proceed with the last steps of Leadworks 5 development. By the way, if you have Ultra Engine, you get Leadworks 5 for free, so don't worry, you don't have to buy anything new. You'll just get switched over to the new app ID. So what needs to be done besides the 12 bugs that remain in the reporting system? Tutorials. There's going to be a ball game. There's going to be an RPG game. There's going to be a first-person shooter. And each of these are going to be broken down into small steps, and I will explain each step in one lesson at a time in video tutorials. And I know people are like, oh, ball game, that's so, marble game or whatever, that's so boring. But it's a good lesson for like your first lesson in game development, because it teaches a lot of the basics. And then I showed people what I was doing, and I think they got a little bit excited about it, actually. So I just put this together yesterday, and so when you move, there's a rolling sound that increases in volume with your velocity. You can't hear the sound on this? Oh, it'll be in the video at least. And then there's a nice little chime playing when you pick up the stars. Yeah, it's amazing how much, like, just having a little particle effect and stuff like that. You know, when you jump, there's a bouncy sound, and then there's a little thud when you land, and a little particle effect. Um, yeah, the jump is pretty high right now, but it's okay. Um, so I mean, that's just the basic mechanics of the game, and I just need to like put it in like more of a racetrack and add the structure of the game, so there's actually like a start and a finish. Um, Add a high score table. All that stuff is easy to do. So I think you guys are gonna like the ball game. Let's see, and then I want to investigate the possibility of switching the lighting into a deferred step. Um, it might be faster in some situations. I don't really know until I try. My gut instinct says that currently we use a clustered forward plus lighting, which is the same thing that id Software is using in like Doom Dark Ages, and I think some of the newer Call of Duty games uses this approach. I can't say for sure, and it's really hard to compare these things because there's so many different factors that can affect their performance. But I suspect that the clustered forward plus approach is probably it might be faster in simpler situations, and I suspect that the deferred lighting approach is faster in some more complex situations. Like if you have a lot of post processing effects, like if you're using SSAO, then you need a deferred normal buffer anyways, and so the clustered forward plus renderer tends starts once you're using a lot of post processing effects, it kind of loses its advantage, which is not having that G buffer. Um, and also, when you have a very high number of vertices, which we're starting to get a lot of, and or if you're using tessellation, then in that situation, that vertex and that tessellation shader actually can become a bottleneck, and in that case, the deferred approach is probably faster. Um, it's yeah. I mean, I think it's just one. I think it's something where one is faster in some situations and the other is better in other situations. But I think under heavy use, my gut says that the deferred renderer will be faster, but I don't really know until I try. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the same code and just changing the order of how it's done. So it's not. I mean, it's not like writing a whole new renderer. There's some other advantages of the deferred approach. The shaders are much simpler, um, and this also actually affects two things that I recently was trying to implement. One is I took a look at terrain mesh blending, which is when you have a mesh on the you have like a rock or something on the terrain, and you do some texture lookups to blend the color and the normal of the rock into the terrain, and it does a very nice transition between the mesh geometry and the terrain geometry, and it makes it look more natural, so it doesn't have like you don't have like an obvious seam. I think they did this in Star Wars, the uh, whatever the RTS game they had was, but that that was difficult. I wasn't able to. The problem I ran into that was my lighting code for the terrain in the terrain shader and my lighting code in the mesh shader were slightly different. They were producing a little bit different results, and I stopped working on it because it's like I could spend time and find the cause of that and get them to be exactly the same. They should be, in theory they should be, but obviously there was some small difference in those shaders. Um, I could have worked and to resolve that difference, or I could just wait, and if that's being done if the lighting is being done in a deferred step, that greatly simplifies all the shaders, and all the lighting is done uniformly in a second step, basically as a post processing effect, and so that problem will just automatically get solved. So I decided to just wait on that. The wind vertex effect that I add, I had to disable that because on NVIDIA drivers only, um, so one aspect of Clustered Forward Plus renderer is you do an early Z pass where you're rendering depth only. So it's like rendering a shadow pass. So you're not doing any texture lookups in the fragment. There's no fragment shader. You're just rendering the depth. Um, but you need to, like, for some reason the forward that early Z pass, the early depth pass, and the final colored pass were not producing the exact same depth value when that wind vertex effect was applied, even though they're executing the same exact code. And this only happens on NVIDIA cards. So that's another thing where it's like, well, I could put more time into investigating that, possibly filing a bug report with NVIDIA. But if we do move lighting into a deferred step, then that problem just automatically goes away. So that's another thing that I'm just going to wait on that. And if I don't know for sure like what I'm going to do yet, but if I do go with the deferred approach, then that problem just automatically goes away. I also wrote the script for the promotional video to go on the Leadworks 5 Steam page, which is that's the first step in making a video. And we also have a development video coming out soon, fairly soon, for the SCP Redacted project. And I wrote the script for that, talking about AI of the characters for that video. So before we continue, are there any questions about any of that? That's the only thing I plan on. That and the tutorials, yeah. So, before we continue, I would like to thank everybody who's recently given us a thumbs up on Steam. This includes... just a minute, let me get ready. T-Tiki, Drogowit, The Cuzzy, Capcrunch, Metal OS, Technologia, Knievels, Ricochet, Andy Gashish Master, Marcy 3D, Gamer, Saru71, Mazel, Timmy, You, Playset, Gravitate Games, Lilybite, Wreckage, Technofox, Cosmic, Doctor Who, 3DGX, JD Gaming, Reap Blue, Anthony Python, CZX18888, Edel Trick, Merrick IJC, Kent, Old Amsterdam, Drake Black, Merrick Project Mayhem, Pedrito, James W. Harden, Trinator, Altitude, Lucky Luke, Slick29, Gavaris 3, Waxy, Renha, Coneo, Tuerto, Jessica07, Almusa, and MD Gun. Thank you all for your support on Steam reviews. So, yeah, this stuff is available right now in the download system. Many people have downloaded it already, but you can get it yourself if you have not yet. I'll do it as a wrap next time. Was that first try? This is like the 20th time I've done that. Maybe 50th. It gets longer each week, but at one point I tried to do it all in one breath, but I think that's impossible. Not while delivering the quality of pronunciation that Leadworks users demand. Yeah, laugh at how many breaths I have to take to get through it. It's like blowing out birthday candles. Yeah, so that should give you an idea. Oh yeah. One more thing. This is actually so. The ball game is a very simple it's a very simple thing that like a lot of people will probably, think that, well, this is too simple for me to learn anything from. But I think everybody here will actually learn. I'm gonna try to keep it simple, but make it have enough like interesting features in there that everybody will learn something. And I think by giving it just a little bit of polish, I think it turns a boring subject into something much more engaging. I looked at a lot of games, but this thing called Going Balls on Android is probably the best example of what I would like it to look like. So it's kind of a combination of like racing game, so you're racing for time, but also you want to collect coins, or in my case, I used stars. I'm thinking that the stars will probably subtract like 1 second from your time or something like that. So both are important for your. This person is not very good at this game. Um, Both are important for your final score, and then finally it'll show like show your score on a leaderboard on Steam against everybody else who has played it. Um, and the goal is just uh, yeah. Usually, I mean, I think they probably you just have like a little bit less control than when you're on the ground. That's how I did it. Um, yeah, I'll have to tweak the controls and everything, but because they went up a very vertical surface. Um, but the goal is to just give you something where you can just make a few more levels and publish it right to Steam. So yeah, I think of it as like a combination of like it's kind of like F Zero and Sonic the Hedgehog. What are you doing, buddy? Oh yeah, yeah. Want to see where this goes? There we go. Yeah, so this is a good way for people to learn. Um, Actually, let's go through the website redesign too, because I didn't talk about that. So this is the new website. Very dramatic. And so the tagline here, Leadworks 5, is powerful fun. And the things that I'm emphasizing, number one, is ease of learning. We believe that with the right teacher and the right tools, anyone can bring their creative vision to life. And that's going to be the whole theme of Leadworks 5, because I decided this is aimed at beginners. Um, that is the group that historically I've had the most success with. And they're also the most open-minded. Like they're not committed to any certain technology yet. They're not brainwashed yet, and so they can actually. That's one group that will actually evaluate information and make choices. So the points I wanted to get across were, number one, easy to learn. Number two is the unique features. We have a lot of very unique features in Leadworks 5 that were just came about because just because like developing tutorials and examples, I realized things that were just really needed to streamline the workflow. Um, so that's something that should definitely be talked about at length. Performance, it's still important, but that's not the main theme anymore. And then I'll just mention the royalty license, the royalty free license on the front page because it's important, but there's not really much else to say about it. How do you fit that in? What's the like as another header? What's the title? What's the headline? Oh, he's using the right language. You make it sound exciting. Unlocks the power of C++. Yeah, that's a good. Okay, I'll figure something out. Andy's very good at marketing. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go to the having the base application and then the pro version as a DLC. That approach works way better because you're not splitting your user base across multiple app IDs. Um, yeah. So this just talks about features of the editor, trying to focus mostly on things that are unique. Starting with the built-in level design tools because those are super important. Uh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I try to go with like headline, middle layer, and then details. Well, then they might miss this. I'll try it and just see how well it reads. Thank you for your suggestion. We'll give it a try. Okay, so engine. This is where I talk about performance more. And I also have a Porsche here. Engine, Porsche, fast. And then there's also this reflection here, which I feel like it's sort of like just sort of like, I don't know what this is based on, but I think this sort of like in your subconscious, I think it sort of like reinforces the connection. Which this was by accident, by the way. Like at first, these two header images were flipped, and then I saw this and I was like, yeah, this city shot, this belongs more on the engine page. But yeah, this is most of this content is from the Ledworks 4 pages, and then I just updated it and switched, to focus on different features that were more important. I mean, yeah, I spent like probably 45 minutes just getting this screenshot because I mean, first I had to decide like what I was even going to show. Um, that probably is what I spent the most time on. Um, what's that? Yeah, but this is talking about the animation system though. Yeah, But it wasn't actually hard to. It wasn't hard to place all of them because I just like did one group and then I copied and pasted it a bunch of times. It was more just like figuring out like what do I even want to show because at first I was going to make like a bunch of zombies running towards the camera, but I couldn't find any good zombies and I just ended up using that guy and there's a ton of them in the distance, and this just runs without any special optimization or anything. It's just extremely good at handling large numbers of animated characters. Um, then on the programming page, just tried to keep this like not boring, like inspirational. Dream big, start simple. This always looks really good when you do this. Take a flat screenshot and then just add some perspective to it, skew it, rotate it, and it just looks cool. And then, the big things here, we're talking about the entity component system, integrated AI, and pathfinding, because that's very closely related to programming, Steamworks integration, visual flow graph. Okay, VR. This used to be all the front page because all I was talking about was speed. Now this is back here because I don't think it's as important. And then education again, like I need to reword this a little bit, but again, like we want learning to be the big thing. Yeah, so with this approach, the video tutorials are absolutely critical. Again, and so that's why I plan on doing the ball game, an RPG example, and a first-person shooter example, and probably some more, like as time goes on. But I'll launch with those. Um, and I think, what's that? Yeah, it's in the options. It's in the general options. Yeah. Um, the reason I do that is because if I don't, people will never see the videos. And the videos are sort of the main product. Having all the features in the world, having the easiest thing to use in the world doesn't mean anything if people don't know if 90% of the users don't know what the features are or don't know how to use it. Um, so the that's why the videos are going to be very pushy. You can disable it, of course, but like by default, I want to make sure everybody sees the videos. I don't want them going to YouTube. I want them staying right there in the application watching the videos. Because I don't want to. Yeah, I guess what's different in version 5 is I'm taking a lot of responsibility for the user learning experience. Whereas, previously I just kind of didn't want to deal with it. I just tried to do the bare minimum on the documentation. But I'm definitely, although it's a extremely capable engine, um, I think it's just easier to take people who have no experience at all, or at least assume that, and transfer all my knowledge to them about game development, and then we have an army of people who have the right mindset and who understand how to use the software correctly. I think that's really the way to go about it. And anything other than that is just very kind of passive aggressive, expecting things to happen when you have to make them happen for that to if you want that to be the outcome. Yeah. Yeah, and also like have like if Leadworks 5 is aimed more at beginners, I mean that market is like 100, 1,000 times bigger. Um, and that's all people who will come over and play the SCP game because they think Leadworks is cool. So it also acts as a like a promotional tool for the game. Possibly we'll see how it works out, but something like that. Yeah, that's all marketing. It's not just marketing. It's not just it doesn't just mean advertisements. It means deciding who you're designing for, and then it comes back and it totally affects the engineering process because it determines what you're building. Um, yeah, I think that what's great about the video game market is it's pretty much a free market, um, and the customer is a connoisseur. The customer knows the difference between a high quality product and a low quality product, and they will notice that difference, and they will always prefer the higher quality product even if it's more expensive. And you can't say that about a lot of businesses. It's also like has a very low barrier, pretty low barrier to entry. I mean, there's a high skill level that's involved, um, but you can't really say that about a lot of other businesses. I mean, if you know if it comes to like the car rental business, there's no difference between a high quality product and a low quality product. It's just you rent a car. Um, and in most cases, it's just something people don't want to buy anyway, so they try to spend the absolute minimum amount. Um, so the video game business is actually like a really, really good business to be in. Um, and as far as game development goes, I think the beginner market is the only like free market that exists. So I think that's also the right way to go there. Um, so Leadworks 5, powerful fun. It'll be out whenever I finish these things, however long they take. And yeah, you'll have videos with me talking through the whole steps of doing these games. I think it's going to be really great for beginners. Actually, my nephew is coming over after this, and I'm helping him assemble his first real PC, and he's going to be my usability testing. I bought him a case and a motherboard, so he has to do usability testing for me. Souls, it has rolling. What is rolling? A Souls like? You do that in a Souls like game? Yeah. Well, the ball game is actually pretty similar to the camera for an RPG, because um, if you just replace the ball with an animated character, then you've got the same thing. I haven't done the mouse rotation yet, so the mouse is just locked in place. Let's play it one more time. The coin collecting is kind of addictive. Ah, so satisfying. See if I can get two rows at once. Are you really? Like on what? Like Nintendo or? Oh, what game was it? Okay. Well, yeah, that'll be the first lesson, and it's really simple. It's like 200 lines of code, something like that. And I think it's a really good way to demonstrate like concepts for people. So that's all I've got this week. I'm gonna stop the video here.